Hi kids, Chop and Raby here. I'm going to read a story for you today that shows us gentleness. That's the fruit of the Spirit that we're starting today. But before I read the story to you, I'd like to read to you a passage of Scripture. I'm going to read you Galatians 5:22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. We're almost all the way through the fruits of the Spirit. Now let me read you a story that gives us a great example of someone who was gentle. Sadie's grandma gave her a new doll for her birthday. It was a soft, squishy, cuddly doll, and it looked just like Sadie. The doll had long brown hair and brown eyes just like Sadie. Sadie's middle name is Elizabeth, and so she decided to name her doll Beth after her own middle name. Sadie was so excited. She couldn't wait until Saturday so she could show her new doll to Sandy and Brenda. Sandy and Brenda were Sadie's best friends, and they were coming on Saturday for a play day and sleepover. Saturday afternoon came, and Sandy and Brenda's moms brought them over to Sadie's house. Sadie was so excited, the first thing she did was went into her room and grab her new doll off her bed. Beth was so soft and cuddly that she'd been sleeping with her every night. The girls both thought that Beth did look like Sadie, and they liked the way that she had been named Beth. The girls decided that they would go out to the backyard and play house pretending that Beth was the baby sister. They pretended to eat lunch and each took turns pretending to feed Beth. Then they pretended that Beth took a nap. Then they decided it was time to play with Beth at the playground. They asked Sadie's mom if they could go to the neighborhood park. Mom said they could go, so the girls walked a few houses down to the park. They spent time on the monkey bars and the slide. They sat under a tree and had a pretend tea party. They decided to go to the swings and hold Beth on their laps while they were swinging. Brenda held Beth for a while, and then Sandy took her turn. She thought it would be cool to have Beth hold on by herself, so she tucked Beth's arms through the chains of the swing. After she had swung for a few minutes, she decided to jump off the swing. She was holding on to Beth, but she forgot that Beth's arms were tucked in the chains. When Sandy jumped, she landed on her feet, and when she looked down, one of Beth's arms was still tucked in the chain. Brenda and Sadie both ran to the swing, and Sadie started to cry. Brenda felt so bad and told Sadie that she was so sorry. Sadie said she just wanted to go home. When the girls got home, Sadie's mom said she would try to fix Beth's arm on Sunday afternoon and for Sadie to just put her up in the room until then. Sadie was sad, but she tried hard not to be upset for the rest of the day. They got pizza for dinner and had ice cream sundaes with whatever they wanted for toppings. The girls had a good time watching a favorite movie, but Brenda noticed that every once in a while, Sadie looked sad. When it was time for the girls to go to bed, all put sleeping bags on the floor in Sadie's room and snuggled in. They talked and laughed for a little bit, and then Brenda could hear that Sandy was asleep and breathing softly. She told Sadie good night, rolled over and closed her eyes. In a minute or two, she heard Sadie sniffling and crying softly. Brenda got out of her sleeping bag and went to Sadie. She gave Sadie a gentle hug and asked why she was crying. Sadie wiped her eyes and said she was just sad that Beth's arm had been torn off and she didn't want to make Sandy feel bad, but she really missed sleeping with Beth. Brenda walked over to the shelf that Beth was on and gently picked up the doll and her arm. She told Sadie that she didn't want to make it any worse, so she didn't think that Sadie should sleep with Beth until her mom could fix her. Sadie sniffled and said she knew, but it was hard not to be sad. Then Brenda had an idea. Hey, What if we gently put Beth's arm back in her sleeve and then wrap her in a doll blanket so she won't get bumped around while you sleep? We could just tuck her into the sleeping bag inside you. We can still have her while you sleep, but it won't tear up her arm anymore. Oh, do you think you can? Sadie asked. I can try, Brenda said, and softly laid Beth on the edge of the bed and carefully put Beth's arm into the sleeve of the dress. Then she took a little blanket out of Sadie's doll bed and wrapped Beth in the blanket the way her mother had taught her to swaddle a baby. When Beth was wrapped tightly in the blanket so that her arm wouldn't move, she took her and gently laid her under the edge of Sadie's sleeping bag. Sadie sniffed once again and said, "Thank you so much. You were so gentle to Beth. It was almost like she was a real girl and you didn't want to hurt her." "I tried to be careful," she replied. The next morning when Mom came to wake the girls up for church, she said, "What's in that blanket, Sadie?" Sadie told Mom how Brenda had been so careful and gentle to put Beth's arm in the sleeve and wrapped her so that the arm wouldn't be moved around. "How sweet of you, Brenda," Mom said. Sunday afternoon, Mom carefully sewed Beth's arm back on, and it was hard to tell that it had ever been off. "Why did Brenda wrap your doll last night?" Mom asked. "Well, I was kind of crying, and she asked me why. When I told her that I missed sleeping with Beth, she thought of a way to gently put her arm back in the sleeve and wrap her like her mom showed her how to swaddle a baby so I could sleep with her. That was so thoughtful of her, and I could tell she was very gentle with Beth's arm. What a good friend she is." Bye, kids. We'll see you later.